Welcome to Code Creative. I'm Travis Tolson. And taking over the keyboard tonight is Sarah Tolson. Are you ready?
No, but we'll see how this goes. So I guess tonight we're going to give people a really good sense of what it means to start working with Flow Designer when you really don't have a lot of experience doing it. Like I have trained on it and everything, but the work I do doesn't typically mean that I get the Flow Designer stories assigned to me. I have done flows before, but I haven't got to work in this tool, which is new to me, but not new to the platform. So I'm really excited to see what we do.
All right. I'm excited for this because I get to sit back and relax.
And drink your what is your drink of choice tonight?
Dr. Pepper, strawberries and cream.
Oh, it's so good too.
It is.
All right. I have to share my screen. Let's see. How do I do that?
I've got you.
Oh, are you going to do it? Oh, yeah. Technical support. Sweet. Okay. So what are we doing tonight? I know we're going to be in Flow Designer, and I'm going to go ahead and navigate there. But last time we did some solid work with a minor interruption on the Mothership flow to help users join a game, right?
Yep.
Okay. And we do need to do some work to finish up that particular bit of stuff, correct?
Yes, we got to finish that one up, and that one was a subflow. Oh, you've actually already got it.
I knew to look under subflow, but it had a little menu. Pick up where you left off. That is good user experience right there.
Yeah, we might be sharing an admin account. Shh, don't tell anybody.
We're lazy.
All right. So last time we had finished up the else. So basically we've got an if condition for if that matching game is found, if the matching game is not found, then we create a new game record. We create a player record on that game. We update the game command, and then we create a game event to notify the UI that those changes have taken place. So within the then block of the if a matching game is found, what we need to do now is instead of creating a game record, we're going to have to update the game record that was found in our previous step.
Okay, so we're going to update the game record it finds and assign a user to it or something like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have our if the game record is found thing here already set up. So then if matching, it's not letting me click a thing though.
The first thing you'll need to do is click that edit subflow in order to put it into the edit mode.
Yep, that's important. So first you get a nice view where you can just see what's going on, which is great because that prevents you from doing making changes you don't intend to make. But now that we are editing, it's very similar to the virtual agent topic creation type stuff too. You have to I forget if you check it out or whatever you have to do, you have to select to edit it, and then you have to actually publish those changes. Similar also to knowledge base articles, I believe, but it's a good protective measure. But anyway, so if matching game is found, what are the differences between these things? Like I know I want it to take an action, but this would, I'm guessing, let you connect another subflow to your subflow. So we don't want to do that, but what's the difference between action and a flow logic? Like if we have some internal if-thens, we would use flow logic?
Yeah, so flow logic is basically going to be your if statements, your repeat statements, your your basic flow control.
So it's just like a nested sort of way to do if statements.
Yeah. When your logic, when the logic needs to be more complex, whether that's conditions or iterating through a set of records, stuff like that is when you're going to use the flow logic.
Okay, but we just really need to do an action here.
Yeah. Actions are basically the calls that you can make on the system. So that's when you make changes to records, when you create new records. Integration hub spokes are in your actions. Different applications expose other actions that you
Yeah.
can take. But yeah, all of that's going to be in your actions. So the first thing we want to do is update an existing record. Yep.
That's easy. You kind of have to know what language to ask it for. This is like, okay, I want to add this to this field. I was working at a very granular level and had to move out to generally we're updating a record.
And
Okay.
sometimes you also have to know like which application to click under. Because like sometimes you'll create record is the most notorious one that I remember. Create records is usually the one that pops up, and you have to click on ServiceNow core, I think it is, to get to create record. But in this case, we're updating the game record that we found in step 2.
So we could put just this. But we could come in here because we're updating a specific field on that record, right?
Well, so you have part of building this out. Welcome, Jace. Part of using these actions is knowing what the parameters are. So like if you look at your update record, you see that there's a record that you update. That record is on a specific table, and you are updating certain fields on that record. So in a way, coming from a coding standpoint, an action is a function, and these are your function arguments. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Or at least I'm going to pretend it does for the sake of argument.
So you were right with the game record. You're going to want to put that pill in the record slot.
That's so easy.
And you'll notice that the table automatically populated because the system knows what table that record was on because it already looked it up.
And now you can drop in.
Now you can, if you click on add field value, now you can set different fields in this update statement.
So we want to do players.
Let's see.
Because we're also going to want to, there's another one where you note whether or not it is in the state of it. We'll have to get to as well. But for now,
So
we need to make sure there's the player is added to the game.
Well, first let's do state because state's going to be the easier one. So let's do state first. And you can see that the choices for the state field are already present in there. So we just have to select the appropriate one. So basically, when you create the game, it's awaiting someone else to join. At this point, the second player is joining the game. So once that second player has joined, we want to set it to the planning phase of the game. And then we will need to add the second player. And this is where it might get a little clunky. So if you remember correctly, players is a list. It's a list of players. And basically, we're going to have to do some scripting magic on this one.
You're going to make me script.
Yep. So click on that toggle scripting. And this allows you to run a script to calculate what that field value should be. So in this case, we want the previous value, comma, the new player that we're adding. Okay. So to the return value of this script is going to be the new value that field is set to. Yep. So you want to do return. And then do you see on line 5 where it has that FD data?
Yes.
So FD data is where all of your data, that's how you access all of the data pills that are in the right-hand column. So if you do FD underscore data dot, you see how it lists the steps and step numbers? So we want the lookup record one. Dot.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yep.
Record.
Yep.
Dot. That makes it's just magical players.
Yep. We want, because that's going to give us the original value for that field.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jay says Flow Designer is low code. Oh wait, you have a thing for this.
Yeah, you gotta look at the tickers. It's a low code situation. Well, that's one thing I like about Flow Designer is that yes, it's low code, but you can tweak it with code if you need to do something a little more complex. And I believe at the CreatorCon keynote, they noted that you would be able to switch and see the entire thing in Flow, which
sounds cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. But anyway, so we have like looking at the record players, which players has multiple on it. So is that like, what is that? That's
so the list field is stored as a comma separated list of sysids. So in this case, it'll be the sysids will refer to the sysuser table. That's defined on our data model, on our form. So that's going to be a string, a comma separated string of sysids. So all we want to do is we want to add the sysid of the user who submitted the command. So on line 8 at the very end, you'll do space plus space FD data. And now you want to look for your, so do you see how FD data on line 5 has trigger?
Yeah. What does the trigger do? Oh, that's related to the trigger up the way.
Right. Let me open this real quick because I got to take a look at something myself. So because this is a subflow, it may not have a trigger. See if there's an inputs on it. Because if you scroll up on the right hand column of your data pills, you see how it has subflow inputs?
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of trigger, see if there's an inputs. Now, what is on FD data? I mean, it can't just be hit backspace and then dot. Oh, subflow inputs.
There it is. Okay, dot. And it gives it to you. So even though we're scripting this, I could kind of figure this out.
Yeah, it still kind of gives you the same the same things that you have in the data pills, just in a different way of looking at it.
Dot. Do we want the player?
Yep. Yeah, because the player is the player that submitted is going to be the player that submitted it.
And then here's all the stuff yeah. Here's all the stuff on the user table. Where are you, sysid? Boop.
And then semicolon.
Semicolon. So we have
roll back a little bit. Okay, we do actually after the plus sign, we need to add a hard-coded comma in there. So that's going to give you the sysid of the no, I don't think a space is needed in that.
Sorry, the grammar nerd in me was like, but I have to do this. It's gonna, but anyway, in this you don't have to.
Yeah, so what that's going to do is that's going to give you the sysid of the original player, which was set in our else statement. And it's going to append the sysid of the user that just issued the join command.
Yeah, okay.
So now both players will be added onto this record. And so do you see the little up caret next to your script icon?
Yes.
Click that. And that collapses your script. And you see how it says script, expand to edit?
Yep.
So that allows you to kind of get the script stuff out of your way so you don't have to look at it.
That's really convenient. Is there a way to make that little box bigger? Because did I just undo my script?
Go ahead and click toggling again.
That terrified me.
So it retains the script, and that's great. It kind of saves you from yourself a little bit. I've done that like a million times. But yeah, the one turns script on and off, and the other one expands and collapses the script field.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, so we are setting the state. That was a simple thing. I like that we got to show both. Just setting a certain field, and then one where we're setting a field, but it's a little more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So we're adding the other user by their sysid to that list of players. And it's good to know what that list field on a record, on any record, actually, what that data looks like in the background. Okay,
Now,
so
there might be a way to do it without a script. If you see the little magical cell next to planning, you've got the script icon, and then there's another one next to it. Click on that real quick. Maybe it's not that one. No, not that one. Scroll off to the side. Okay, no, maybe not. Sometimes there's like a transformations that you can do in Flow Designer that lets you do a variety of like simple logic.
Oh, I've already done one. It won't let me do another one.
Yep.
I was going to try and see if it would pop up if we didn't have the script there.
I'm not going to two-string all the things for extra paranoia. See, this, I can't remember if it... I cannot remember if what it is passing in here is glide record objects and glide element objects, or if it's like JSON payloaded. I can't remember which. Basically, what Ravelli is asking is after the dot players and after the dot player dot sysid, he's asking if we should add dot toString at the end.
Now you're the king of string here, because you wrote that article back in the day.
Oh, I love toString. toString is my preferred method.
See, I like the plus quote, mostly because that's what you taught me when you were first teaching me how to do glide records, and I'm curmudgeonly.
So, but I can't remember if these objects have like get value, get display value, toString, or if it's just like raw object. I can't remember how the data pills work.
You should know that. You're the expert.
Apparently, I'm the one that made people paranoid on this.
But now, let me tell you, for the number of times that we've all seen object in our console, and for the number of times that I have been so frustrated with data not being a string or trying, like, no, I think the code has abused us into being paranoid about it. So, but anyway, so we have this. Is there anything else we needed to do for this? We wanted to make sure that if there was a game, that the player could be added to it, and then the game would be put in the planning stage. So I think we're done with this part.
Yep, we've updated the game record. Now,
okay, that wasn't too terrifying.
The next thing that we have to do is we have to add a player record on the game. So this is some data model kludge that I have in this particular version. Basically, because I wanted players to be a related list, so I could append additional data to the players. But Flow Designer queries and such, I don't really know how to deal with related lists effectively, short of iterating through them, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
So I'm just mirroring the players' sysids to the game record itself for simplicity's sake, or complexity's sake, depending on how you look at it.
That'd be a good thing to look up, how to better handle related lists in Flow Designers.
Yeah, but for now, let's go ahead and create a let's add an action to create a record, and we want to create a player record.
So we want to create a. Do I not have a thing here?
Take a look at your inputs on the create record action.
Let's see, where are my?
Look at the create record at step 5 in the main panel. What's your first parameter there?
Table.
Okay.
We have to pick the player table. Where's your? That's what I was looking for. Was like, where are my related tables? Aren't they in a list here?
Yep.
Or we can
there you
just
go. That's the one.
we could just like be lazy and search for it. I was trying to like find it over here in the thing, but you know,
since we're creating a new record, we don't have that in an existing data pill. Is all that comes down to.
Okay. All right, so we're going to.
It is possible to data pill that field if, like, you're using like a configuration table that has the table name on a drop down there. You could use a data pill to set that table field if you needed to,
but
we don't need to here.
Okay, so we'll just do it the regular way that we all look for tables and put it in there. So now we're going to tell it what field values to do for that created record.
Yep. And I don't even remember what fields are on this table, so let's take a look. Click that add field value and let's see what's in the list. So we definitely need to populate the game.
Let's put them all in there. How about is ready? I think we need to do that.
Let's scroll down. Put user in there.
Oh, because we can like reference the user instead of.
And I'm just doing this because of like logical ordering of importance.
Okay.
And then the last one can be the is ready. Now, is ready is no check mark.
No check mark.
It should do that by default, but we're going to manually have that set as no. Nope, no check. No check. No check.
The game needs to reference the game that has been up here somewhere. So
the one we want the game that we created in the previous step, in step 4.
Per game. So would it be under the subflow inputs?
Nope, because we created it in step 4.
Oh, there we go.
And that's the one.
Oh my God, this is so cool. Okay, so would it be like, this is that little bit of logic you were talking about.
Yep.
So user would be the one we did.
The one that issued the command.
Yes. So that would be in the, wouldn't that be the one in step 4 too?
Nope. That's coming from inputs because our game command is our input into the.
Oh, not that one. Not that one. Okay.
A little arrow out to the side there.
Yeah.
Netlock.
I was in my brain. I was doing that player. This one.
Yep. And now you're done.
That's it.
That's it. That now it's going to create that record.
Wait. Quick. Let me make sure I got this. So it's going to create the player record for the one that created the game.
Yeah. So like,
don't we need to also create a record for the other player?
No, because so what's going to happen is the first player will issue a join command, and that logic is going to go down the else chain in order to create a record. And that logic, if you scroll down in the flow, see how it creates a game record, creates a player record.
Oh, so that one's already in it. And so what we need to do here is we need to include the other player.
Right.
But game command player, if this is the disconnect I'm seeing is how does it know to put the second player on there? So
the way the process will work, click on your main your internal UI tab. Search for Mothership.
Isn't it so much more fun? I can ask much better questions this way.
Go to game commands. Open that game command. So our first user, the first player that goes in and clicks join game, it's going to create a game command record. That's going to trigger our flow. We haven't set up the trigger yet, but it'll trigger our subflow the first time.
Okay.
The result of that is going to be, if you click on games,
it'll create the game record.
It created the game record. Open it up, and you can see that it has a player on it.
Yes.
It has the game command associated with it. And a game event has been created. So this is the current state of the simulated game that we're playing right now. Now player 2 clicks join game, and a new game command will be created, and that game command will be processed separately, which will follow our then path.
Okay.
And it is going to update the game record. It's going to create that second player record on the game. And then
Associate
the game command. So go ahead. Yeah, then we need to associate that game command to this game, and then create the game event that says this process is done.
Okay, so we're going to do another action to that created the player record. This is going to brain. This is going to update.
We want to update the game command, and in the other commands of the game, we won't have to do. Well, no, we'll still have to do this in each of them because we have to update the state. So this will actually be the process for pretty much all the commands.
Okay.
So we want to update that game command from the input.
That was under update record. Shouldn't it be under this? Should be this one.
Yep. Although technically they will probably be the same just because of how the logic works.
We want to be safe. Okay, but that means we're going to update the game command record, and the fields we want to update on here.
We want to update the game to the game that we created in step 4.
This says update record, though. Did we create it in step 4?
Scroll up.
Then update game record.
Oh, because matching game is found. So we didn't create it in this.
We
in this part
updated it. Okay, that's
we
why.
Updated. So that is still the correct one, though.
Okay.
Okay. And then add another field value. And
we need to say what the command is, don't we?
No, the command will already be set. We need to update the state.
Again?
Because now this game command is going to be successful.
Instead of ready?
We're updating the game command, not the game.
Oh, sorry. You have a lot of moving parts in this.
Yes. So basically the way the flow works is user creates records on the game command table. Game engine processes that into changes on the game,
which
players, and the game cells.
Yep.
At the end of that process, the game engine creates a game event, and that is what the UI will be looking for. The UI is going to be observing the game event table. And you can think about it this way. Say you and I are playing a game. If both of us had full access to the game record and the game cells, then we would basically be able to see each other's ships. Like we'd be able to do a REST query to figure out where each other's ships were. It'd be terrible.
And that is exactly what people doing this would do. Okay. So we're updating the game command record to put the game in the state of success. Was there anything else we needed to do to the game command record?
No, that's all we need to do to the game command. And then the last step in the process is to create that game event record. See, you are already like a master of flow.
We're getting there. Game, cell, game. Oh, which one was it?
Game event.
Yep. Sorry. I knew it wasn't game command because we just dealt with that. So we're creating this game event record, and the event is what we're setting.
So let's do game first.
No, we want to do the magic thing, right?
Nope. We want to do the one that we updated in step 4. Because again, this is in this particular branch of the flow, that's the game we're working with.
Yep.
Okay, add another field. Do event.
Now we do event.
And this one will be player joined.
Because we had the second player join.
And then add, we want the command And this is just for traceability. This tells me which command was the cause of this event. And that'll be the input, the game command in the input. And player. And that'll be the player that issued the command.
How do we find that?
That's going to be on the game command record in the input. There's a little bit of data duplication in this data model, but it simplifies some of the ACLs. It simplifies some of the queries.
Oh, yeah.
So I chose to duplicate data just because it makes the security model easier. And
yeah.
security model for me is like one of the most frustrating aspects. So I try to make that as simple as possible.
Yeah. Is there anything else? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think that's it for this for the player joined, because all we need is just what game they joined, what player joined it, and the traceability that they joined.
Yep.
So that should be it. And then the last thing you'll want there at the end of 7 is an end subflow, and that's going to be in your flow logic.
I would never think to look there. I'd be like, where is my magic button? Okay, so we have what happens if the player looks for a game and a matching game is found. I love how you can collapse this. And you have what they do if a matching game is not found, which means they're creating the game. Okay. Now what? And it's always good to have like a list of the different, I like to put list of like the different things I needed to do. Like, okay, I needed them to be able to join a game. I need to be able to da-da-da-da. But I don't have the list in front of me. So what's next?
All right. So now go to the internal UI, and we're going to set up some tests for this.
Ooh, testing.
Go to Mothership. Actually, go ahead and delete that game.
This game right here?
Yep, go ahead and delete it.
That's not very nice.
Wait. Dang it. Go ahead and delete the game command and the record on the game command table and the record on the game event table as well. I'm going to go find that player, that orphan player record.
Do we need to see you? See. Got rid of that, and I need to get rid of the game event too. Because you changed your mind on me after I pushed the button.
Say again?
You changed your mind about deleting the record after I pushed the button.
I did want it deleted. The player record does not have a module for it, and so it's easier to delete it from the game record itself right now. All right, that orphan is now deleted. All right, so I wanted to address Adam's question there on ATFs. Yes, once ideally we would set up some ATFs for this, but we don't actually have enough of the logic set up yet to actually run it as an ATF. At least I don't think anyway.
Later, can we do ATFs?
Unless ATFs can directly test subflows, I haven't messed with ATFs recently enough around Flow Designer to know.
Let's find out. What's it under?
ATF. Or
okay.
Yep, that works too.
Ew.
You don't. Let's not deal with that right now. As much as I'd love to find out.
Okay, so how do you want to go about testing this?
We'll come back to automated tests when we've got a little bit more solidified.
Okay.
So next, go to the type in Mothership again. Adam says he doesn't think we can test just subflows. So
Adam would know.
And Raveli confirms.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So we have to set up everything else, and then we can do some ATFs.
So let's go to game command table. Click on new. And set the player to system administrator. And then for the command, did it drop down?
Yes.
I don't see it.
Oh, it says join game, leave game, play ship, take turn.
Join game.
Okay.
And then submit. And then nothing's going to happen yet because there's no trigger yet.
Mm-hmm.
Click on new. And for player, select it. Yep. He'll work. And then command join game. And submit. Now jump back into Flow Designer. And click on test. Now we need to select a game command record. We want that first one. And run test.
I'm so glad we fixed this. Okay, matching game is found. There is no matching game because we didn't put one in.
Because we had deleted the game.
So not that, didn't do any of that. So it goes to our else and it creates a record.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you what record is created.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So it looks like everything completed. So
nice.
Go back to your internal UI.
We get to see the things created.
Go to the game record. So we have a new game record.
Mm-hmm.
It has a player. It has the player associated who's system administrator. We've got a game command and an associated game event.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go back to Flow Designer and close that tab. Close that Flow Designer tab.
Yep.
And then select the test and select the second game command.
And this will add Able to the game.
Right.
That's so exciting.
Okay, so this should go down the main, and it did not. Womp womp.
So why did it not?
So refresh that. And it did. Oh, okay, it would have created an entirely new game. All right, so go back to the games list.
That's what
open
it does.
that one.
Okay.
Delete the associated records on that game table.
So these records down here?
Yeah, the player, the game command, the game event, delete all those. We'll set up cascade deletes to make this easier soon. Because this will eventually get to the point where deleting all these records is a pain in the rear end.
Mm-hmm.
It's already mildly annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And then delete that game record.
Are you sure this time?
Yep. All right. Now jump back into Flow Designer and let's take a look at that flow. Well, I wanted to see the results of it.
We can open it back up.
All right. Scroll down. Let's see. Scroll back up. Check the if matching game is found. Open that one up.
Look up record. Game record is not empty.
Web has joined the chat.
Hello.
All right, so let's see.
It's not empty. See, you have your this is where I'm a little stunted compared to you, is that you have your entire data model in your head, and you're much more familiar with it than I am because you built it. Look up record. Game record is not empty.
All right, so Go ahead and close the flow execution tab. Close the test. Open up the if statement.
Look up.
Click on Edit Subflow.
Should it be?
Let's see. Condition 1.
It's not empty.
Okay, so basically what that was, the idea there was that if we found a game record,
Mm-hmm.
then that particular field on step 2 would not be empty. That does not appear to be the case. Which I kind of suspected, but because I remember going through this issue when I built this the first time. So
what does this mean then? Did this then look up?
So this is so if you scroll up to step 2, we looked up a game record. And the if statement is looking at the result of this lookup. Did we find a record? So this would be similar to your if gr.next in a script, is kind of what that if statement is supposed to be. So scroll back down to that if statement. The problem is not with the lookup itself, I don't think. I think the problem is with how we are checking whether or not the record exists. So click the X next to that pill. Let's see. So this is going to be, go over to your data pills on the right-hand side, or
because it doesn't seem like it's looking at the table. Like,
use whichever your preference is on data pills, whether it's the little magic wand icon or the data pills on the right-hand side. Select lookup record.
it should be game record.
So status is one possibility. So this is the thing that's weird, is that when you do the lookup record, our lookup record, remember how we set the flag on basically telling it don't throw any errors?
Mm-hmm.
That's because if the lookup does not find a record, by default, it throws an error. But we don't want it to throw an error because that goes down to the error handling. And that's not what we want. This not finding a record is not an error. It's a known condition.
So it's looking up a record.
The problem is that I think status is always successful now. Try error message, because I think it still outputs an error message if nothing is found. Click the little drop down to the left of that input box. What are the options? I can't see them.
Oh, that's weird. Is not, is empty, is not empty, contains, does not contain.
Is not empty.
Okay.
So if is empty. If the error message is empty, then a game is found. All
okay.
Right. So click done.
We're going to test it again, right?
Yes. On the second command. We deleted the second command. Go create a second command. We need to create a command for AbleTutor again.
This is why I made it a favorite. Okay. So we don't have a game. This is the system administrator one?
AbleTutor.
Because the other one's AbleTutor.
Is it? Hold on a second. Let me check a couple things, because I think the wrong one may have been deleted.
Confused Travis is confused.
Game. Yeah, the player is system administrator. So I'm just going to kind of hack this one into place. I'm going to change the existing one to system administrator. Create a new one for AbleTutor.
Fine. Join game, state ready, da 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 da.
All right. Okay, so now test using that second one.
Test. This one.
Yes.
Okay. If matching game is found.
Okay, so expand the lookup record on number 2. Scroll down. Scroll down to the output.
Found this record.
And you see how error message is blank?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Bump. Okay, so now go to the internal tab and go to the game record.
I can't see my game record here.
See how it's in planning state now?
Yes.
Able Tutor has been added to the game successfully.
Oh, check that out.
All right, now purge the players, purge the commands, wait. Click on game command first. The tab. It's because we purge the players, game commands, and game events. I think we're fine.
Purge the game commands and the game events?
Yep. And the players. We're clearing it all out.
Make me do all this. Do you want to drive tonight? Sure. You're going to be deleting a bunch of records. All right. Things are deleted.
Delete the game record.
Why couldn't we just no? Because then it would orphan it.
Right.
Okay. Sorry. Nope. I know. You can't just delete the parent record. That doesn't delete related records. The related records would then be sitting out there orphaned and alone and sad.
We can fix that next.
Okay.
Now create your 2 game commands again.
There is this one. Does this need to be here?
Delete that one because that one's going to be junk at this point.
Delete. Okay, so we're going to do 2 new game commands to join the game.
Yep.
And this is how, refresher, this is how we're testing to make sure that subflow works.
Yeah, so like if you imagine when the UI opens, and actually I might have I'm going to pull this up real quick. Somewhere back here. Got to go through the presentation a bit. No. Okay, nope, I didn't have it in there. Basically, there's going to be like a part of this where there's like a play game. So like there'll be like a little UI thing where you can click play game. And from that play game, that will issue that'll create the game command record. That's how that will tie in.
Okay.
Okay. So you have 2 game commands created?
Yes.
Okay. I'm only seeing 1.
Refresh the screen. Game commands.
There we go. I was looking at the wrong screen. I had mine up.
Good job.
All right. So now go to your Flow Designer and test those 2 in the correct order.
All right. So now we're going to test this one.
Yep.
First one.
And
there isn't a game, so this one should
create
the game record. Matching game was not found, and it evaluated. Okay, so this is
so now go to the internal UI and check the state of that game.
Here's that game.
So it's awaiting join. It has Able Tutor added. We have a game command and game event on that record.
All right, and now we're going to test the flow that would run the second player because there is a game.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't trust this. Okay. That one. No, we just did that one. Is this one?
Yeah, the later one.
Yeah. Okay. Why did it switch the order on me? Okay, and there you go. Now it sees that there's a game and it's just updating the game. So now we should be able to come over here and see. Yep.
There you go.
All right. So we have finished that part of the flow.
Yep.
All
That flow, for all intents and purposes, is done barring bugs, which we'll discover probably not until we start building the UI.
Okay, so time check. We've been at this for about 50 minutes. This might be a good place to stop. And then what are our next steps, though?
Let's do one more thing tonight, if you're okay with it.
Yeah, I guess I
It
can.
has nothing to do with Flow Designer, and it's pretty simple to set up. And it'll make testing easier.
I like Flow Designer. I'm okay with that. But okay, what else are we going to do?
Go to Studio.
Not App Engine Studio, like old school Studio.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that one. All right, so open up the game command table. Game command.
Just kidding.
There you go. All right, scroll down. All right, down in your, so this is your list of fields that are on the table. Open the game field. Scroll down to the reference specification. Scroll down a little further. Click on Advanced View.
Ooh, we're getting advanced.
Scroll down to reference specification again. All right, so you see that reference cascade rule? Change that to delete.
Oh, I did not know this. So that means that when this record is deleted, it'll delete all of its associated related records.
Yes. So if I have a game command that references a game record and I delete that game record, it will cascade delete the associated game commands.
I'm going to tuck that in my back pocket. That's useful.
So hit the update.
No.
And then we will want to do that on the game event, on its game reference.
Are you going to give me the advanced view? No, I have to click advanced view for all of them. Why can't you just have a setting? I'm advanced. Show this to me by default.
And do the same thing on the player table.
The amount of tabs that I have is really concerning.
It's okay. You're doing great.
Wait, this is table player. Did I grab the right? Yes, game. Okay.
So I will say that is a little weird hearing you say that, considering you're like the person with a million.
Don't judge me. Me and many of my I was going to say designer, but designer developer brethren, we are all in the like 50 plus tabs club. Okay.
I panic when I look at your browser tabs.
My browser, look at how clean they are. I've only got 3. Okay.
Window.
That's the player. Yeah, I cleaned everything up before we did this, so you wouldn't judge me. All right. I did the player table.
Okay. And then on the game cell as well.
Yeah, see? Jace had like all the windows. It's a thing. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. What'd you say?
On the game cell table as well.
Well, fine. We just got to do this everywhere. Where are you? There we go. You did this so I would have practice doing this, didn't you?
Yes, absolutely. Thoroughly intentional on my part. Well planned in advance.
Absolutely. All right. Did it on the game cell table.
All right. So now go to your internal browser tab. Delete that game record.
And there you go. Okay.
So go ahead and delete and purge it out, and that'll reset us for next time.
Okay.
And then go back to Studio real quick. Click on Source Control.
Oh, we're going to do the Git thing, aren't we?
Absolutely. Click Commit Changes.
Okay.
Yep. We want all those included. And add a little commit statement down there. There should be like a text box somewhere down there.
I cannot see it for some reason. It's like at the bottom.
Zoom out a bit. Maybe the zoom issue.
There it is. Okay.
Click Continue. Give it a commit comment. And commit files.
I have to do, like, I'm going to be shenanigans, but I have to do it legitimately. What did we build tonight? Joining game, right?
Yep. Commit files.
There are so many little platform side things, like that thing you just showed me, that just, because platform is not where I live, I just take for granted and don't know. And I do love finding those things out. You know, we all have our specialty, and that's not mine. Okay, so we have
the fun part of having you drive these.
Like, I'm really okay with this. One, it's easier for my ADHD butt to stay involved. And you're actually giving step-by-step instructions having me do this, which is closer to what we will want to give. So, I don't know. I like
Glide
it.
Labs with Travis.
Glide Labs with Travis. I like it.
So yeah,
and then I get to ask all the inane questions about, no, this isn't clear. What do you mean?
So that'll wrap it up for tonight. That gives us our join game command completed. Now, again, we don't have a trigger set up, and basically, so when I did this the first time, I set it up as like a business rule style trigger. So when the game command record was created, I executed the flow. And that actually ended up being a bad decision because there was no way for me to control what order those were executed in. Like, if a player spammed commands, like, the engine couldn't handle that. It would just execute all of them as quickly as it could. Often, like, it'd execute one step of this one step of this one, then this one, then that. And it created a mess. So ideally what I want to do is I want to try and have like some kind of event that triggers processing the queue. So like when a new game command record is created, I'll turn around and I'll say, okay, let's go ahead and execute processing the queue. And then that event will fire and process the commands in sequence. And that way we can ensure that only one event is firing at a given time.
Nice. So somebody's turn doesn't accidentally go before the person's turn that was supposed to go.
Right.
How very British of you. You need a cue.
So that is... So that's kind of the idea for how the new version of this is going to work. Is it's going to use that game command table, to Robert's point, as basically the turn. You know, you can execute as many commands as you want, as quickly as you want, but the game engine is going to enforce executing one command at a time. And if the commands that you execute are not valid for the state that the game is in, then it's just not going to allow executing that particular command.
So no cutting in line. Right.
Nice. So now that we have the join game command, there is a leave game command. We may save that one for the end because it's just not that important for the core mechanics of the game.
No, after people join the game, you have to, I know we got the game to planning, but then like next, don't we have to deal with like people putting their ships in place and all that?
That's the planning phase. Is during the planning phase, the play ship command is valid for both players. then once once all the ships are placed, then the I think it's the ready player or set player ready command is valid at that point. Once all the ships are placed for that user, once both players have been marked as ready, then one of the players is set as the player one, or to take their turn first, and that player can. It is then valid for that player to place a take turn command. And then it alternates turns, switching from one player to the next after each one. And so that's how you end up with a consistent game state as the players go through the different commands.
Okay, so next time on Dragon Ball Z, more yes. More flow designer. So we are really building this from the back forward.
Yeah. So like all the core game logic will be built before we touch the UI. What the UI is going to do is it's going to create commands and watch for events. And so the player will be able to do things, and their UI will update when things are done. But essentially having that game engine complete is going to put us in a better place to kind of do a better comparison of Service Portal against UI Builder for building out the
because
UI
both
for this.
will be built on top of that logic.
And sadly, you'll probably have to yield the keyboard to me for the UI side for a consistent test on that. I know, but like, if it's testing you on Service Portal versus me on UI Builder, it's not quite.
I think that's fair. No, that's fair. You've been on this platform for 18,000 years, and I have not.
And we could have you do both, be on the keyboard for both Service Portal and UI Builder.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But you saw my experience the first time building this. Like,
we don't even have our experience the first time through.
Yeah, if you have an experienced Service Portal developer and a completely inexperienced UI Builder developer, Service Portal is going to win. Like, there's no contest to that whatsoever.
Well, I'm kind of wanting to nudge the winner in one certain direction because I play favorites.
Yes, no, your product prejudice.
It will have to be one or the other, and it will probably need to be you because it will work off of a more reasonable experience set.
Yeah.
You've worked with it before and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean that I'm not sitting over here I don't know, maybe I'll tell you to move your pixels, your lines 2 pixels to the left, like I did with you back in the early days.
I think I'm not going to use the GraphQL APIs this time now. I don't know.
Don't tell Brad. Don't hurt.
If I do, we'll see. If I use GraphQL, I have to use it on both. And I have no idea how to do that in Service Portal. It would be a huge, huge handicap on Service Portal.
Webb says you're starting to look more Jesus-y. That's because you've been on the platform for 1,800 years.
Back in my day.
We'll figure it out. But some of these things I do. Jay says Nathan Firth has a way to do GraphQL and Service Portal. So we'll have to take a look at what.
Yeah, if he's got something published and I can look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's easy, then I might stick with that. So thanks for that tip, Jay. So I'll have to take a look at that, because if it's not too mind-bending for me, then I can have you create the GraphQL APIs too.
Do you really want me saying bad words on here? That sounds like an integration. You know how I feel about that. But I will say I like this approach because it forces you to really verbalize and break down the steps that we're taking. And I think that's going to be really advantageous. And I'm learning quite a bit doing this as well. So
I'll be honest, I enjoyed the GraphQL once I understood it. The initial...
They want me to say bad words on this.
Like the first the first week of trying to figure out GraphQL APIs was a nightmare. But that's not like ServiceNow's fault. It's just because I didn't understand GraphQL APIs at all. Like I fundamentally didn't know what they were. So trying to learn ServiceNow's implementation of something that I didn't understand to begin with was just a recipe for disaster.
But okay, does that wrap us up? Next time we'll do more flow designer logic things.
Yeah. Next time we'll continue with the flow designer. We'll probably work on the place ships, because just for progress, like we'll progress through the game as we're building it, essentially. So apparently GraphQL is falling out of favor.
We're behind.
But enterprise software is always going to be lagging behind, which is fair.
Good point.
One thing I will say about the GraphQL is, and I will agree that the GraphQL stuff is a little challenging to wrap your mind around in ServiceNow, but once you get it, like creating the initial GraphQL API is kind of frustrating, but once you have a basic scaffold, it's a lot easier. And the thing that I love about it is that from a performance standpoint, it reduces the number of queries, the number of server calls that you need, and it allows you to kind of specify everything that the endpoint can do, but you can control what part of it you need on the client.
That sounds like integration stuff.
It is integration stuff.
And you, I thought you liked me. I'm not actually, like, I have done some like integration work before, but it is just, it's a new thing. And I, you know, despite what anyone might think, I actually really hate learning new things.
Well, and realistically, I see ways where in future versions where ServiceNow's GraphQL API building could be made easier. Right now, it's very script heavy, and you have to have. Remember how UI Builder was with all the JSON payloads in the first version?
Yeah.
That's kind of where the GraphQL API Builder is right now. It's a lot of odd configuration stuff that doesn't really make sense until you read John Lynn's blog posts about 30 times and experiment with it extensively until it sinks into your brain. At least for me, I might be slow. But
like
once it clicks,
understanding of things.
But once it clicks, it snaps together pretty easily. But I can see where there's a lot of like script duplication in it when you're building it. So I can see where they could make it much easier in the future. And I definitely expect them to do so.
Sounds terrifying. I will absolutely dive in and do it, because I have found that this, I learn a lot by this approach. So happy to do it and have you walk me through it and all that kind of stuff. What is the advantage of the GraphQL thing?
So I'm going to put Jace's post back up here again, or Jace's comment back up there. Basically, you can think of it as a batched REST API. So you know when you have in your to put it in your lingo that you would be most familiar with, the widget server script, right? Okay. You know how you have if input and input dot action and input dot action is equal to?
Yeah.
And you have logic inside that if statement?
Yes.
Okay. You know how sometimes you'll turn around and like on initial load, you'll load part of the data. But then when the user does something,
I like my ticker.
But then when the user performs some action, it fetches the rest of the data.
Yes.
GraphQL kind of allows you to do that without a bunch of if statements.
Oh, okay.
So like you basically build a query on the client side where you say, give me a list of knowledge articles and their related knowledge articles associated with them. So like you can kind of do dot walking from the client side.
That is cool. And I can think of 10 different ways to use that in a user experience.
So a better example would be incidents. So like you could have a GraphQL API for incidents, and you could say, just get me the incidents. But you could also say, get me the incidents and the related data on the caller. But you could also create another query that gives you the incidents, the related caller data, and also the related list of problems that are associated with that instance, all in a single call.
This is a way around those nested glide records that bog down. Oh, I like that.
Now,
okay.
In the current version of GraphQL, of the GraphQL API, it still kind of does a little bit of the nested glide recordy stuff behind the scenes. And again, I see if they make some small changes to it, they could actually apply logic on the back end, which would get rid of those nested calls and flatten it all out. I don't know if they'll do that or not, but the main performance gain is that if I call the API and I only want the incidents, I don't care about the caller data or the related problems. I just ask that endpoint just for the incident data, and it doesn't run the other queries at all. So it's kind of like passing a parameter where you say related problem records, true or false. Related caller data, true or false. And if you say false, it doesn't execute the queries. And basically your GraphQL API, you basically define which parts of the possible payload you want. And it gives you just that part. And that's where the performance gain comes in, is you don't end up running a bunch of unnecessary code. And in Service Portal world, where you have a lot of times you have server-side people, you have front-end people writing server-side code. A lot of times you end up with people that like pull all the data all the time, even when they only need part of it.
And it slows it down.
And you end up with UIs that take 18 seconds to load.
Yep. That's the sticking point, and that's why you have all these if-thens. Like, only do this if, certain things. It gets really hairy. So having a way that is in place, I'm now really excited to learn this, because especially using it in my world to get around those massive glide records and things like that, I'm always looking for ways to improve the performance, because Service Portal is not the most quick UI ever. So I'm always looking for ways, especially in the custom functionality, to improve that. So that's going to be cool.
I think the last time I ran tests on it, I think that a Service Portal with nothing on it, like no header, no footer, no widgets, just the blank Service Portal page, I think takes like 2 seconds to load.
That's a long time when users will often abandon after 3 seconds.
Exactly. Like, it does not give you much time to play with for actually putting components on the page, or widgets. Since components or UI builder stuff, I need to like keep my terminology straight now.
Well, we will have some fun
and because you can embed components in Service Portal.
No.
You can.
I don't like it.
ServiceNow doesn't care. They did it anyway.
But like, I was given some feedback on Service Portal and especially Employee Center, and but you're funny.
They have to use this portal to get help. Suck it, users.
See, but that's just it. Like, and that, okay, now you got me sidetracked, because it's an important distinction, because there's a lot of UX talk around like hook model and things like that, but it's geared towards sites where you want the user to stay a while and continue to scroll in the, like, whether to get them to buy services or whatever, like Amazon. But we have the exact opposite objective with our sites. We want people to get in, get out as quickly, like as quickly as possible. And so some of that just doesn't, it loses priority you know. But
We want
anyway,
to
we were
reward
talking
you.
about
We want to reward you enough to come back the next time you have a problem.
and not call the service
But
desk.
but the most rewarding thing for that is to make it easy for you to submit so that you get your problem solved as quickly as possible.
That's why a lot of the designs you see are that I do are especially now with Employee Center. They did such a good job putting together. Like I like simple, you know, don't kludge up your homepage with too much. You know, there's a lot of different things I could rabbit trail on that, but
you don't want to make those portals prisonish.
man, okay, so now I have to tell this story. I was working on a project, and Webb was on this team with me, and I and Megan Aarons and Lauren Toomey at GlideFast were building the design for this project. And the first feedback that we got, this is right around the time I'd just come on, was this looks prison-ish. This looks like a community college course page or something. So I'm sorry. Webb's like, you don't have to. I'm like, no, this is one of my favorite stories because this client was so much fun to work with because he cared so much about how this looked. And he gave awesome feedback like this. But
feedback was the best.
It really was. And then, yes, prison-ish, Jace. But then, and I got to tell this client at Knowledge a couple years ago, look, you need to understand, y'all are still one of our favorite projects. But by the time we were done, this client was like, you knocked it out of the park. And it's still one of my favorite projects, one that I'm really, really proud of. But anyway, we got off topic because I was talking about something else. GraphQL and performance and service portal is slow. And I don't know where it went from there.
We were holding people captive in prison-ish service portals.
There you go.
Oh, gosh.
There you go. But all right. Sir, I think it's time we close this out.
I think so. So next time we'll continue the Flow Designer stuff.
Yep.
And one day, maybe someday soon, we'll get back to UI development on this thing. But so far, as the low codishness has been fun.
Yeah, it has been. It's pretty cool. It doesn't feel as like, because you know when people are watching you type, when you're sharing your screen or whatever, it's really anxiety inducing, and this not so much.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, I guess that'll wrap us up for tonight. So,
all right. Thank y'all for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining, and we hope to see you next time.
All right.